Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Perpetual here. If you're new, you're warmly welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today as we make this absolutely delicious Wrewre Nkwan. Come along and let's get started. So first things first, I am just getting my wrewre or melon seeds into a pot, and I'm going to be leaving it on low heat and stirring it so that it toasts nicely. Whatever you do, do not leave your wrewre unattended as it will burn and get very bitter. Now once that is done, I am getting my washed and cleaned and chopped chicken into my big pot that I'm going to be using for the soup. For this soup, I am using layer or the hard chicken, and what I do is when I go to the market, I buy it fresh, they kill it there, they dress it for me, and they cut it up for me. Next up, I am just chopping some onions. I'm going to be using one large onion. And I'm just getting all my onions into my soup. I chopped mine. If you'd like, you can grate it or you can blend it as well. And I am adding about a tablespoon of salt, and then I'm going to give it a quick stir. When it comes to salt for Wrewre Nkwan, you want to make sure that you do not over salt it at the beginning, because when you go to add your melon seeds to the soup, it can curdle if it has too much salt in it. Alright, so at this point, our chicken has been steaming for about 10 minutes, so I'm going to give it another stir and cover it up and allow it to continue cooking. And I did not add any additional water as the chicken will release its own juices. And while the chicken continues to cook, I'm going to cook my Scotch bonnet peppers or habanero peppers, and as well I'm adding 3 tomatoes. I'm going to be blending ginger, a few cloves of garlic, and when my pepper and tomato is done boiling, I'm going to add that to my ginger and garlic and blend it all together with a little bit of water. And once it is done blending, I'm going to get my liquid strained so that I get out any excess pulp that I do not want in my soup. So I'm going to set this aside, and while I have the blender out, I figured I would blend my melon seeds or wrewre as well. So I have a bit of water in my blender, and I'm going to be adding my toasted wrewre into my blender, and I'm going to blend it until it is really smooth. Now, if you live in Ghana, wrewre is commonly sold in the markets, and if you're outside Ghana, any of the African stores should have some in stock as well. I had to add a little bit more water because it was really thick and my blender was not doing such a good job of getting it blended. And for Wrewre Nkwan, just like we do with groundnut soup or nkwan, I added about a tablespoon of tomato paste to my mix, and then I continued blending it. Now, this soup is definitely a labor of love because now that my wrewre is blended, I am going to be straining it multiple times. This is the most annoying part of the soup, but it is crucial because if you do not strain it well, you're not going to get a nice consistency to your soup. It will be very grainy and you do not want that. So I am using a locally made strainer for my first 2 strains, and then after that I'm going to use a fine mesh sieve to get all the pulp out. Now you can use a spoon to speed up the process, or you can use your hand, and I did both. And you also want to be adding bits of water as you go along because you want to make sure that you get out as much of the juice as possible. And the pulp that I'm taking out, I'm actually putting back into my blender. And when I'm done straining it, I'm going to blend that pulp again to try and get more juice out of it. So like I said, you keep adding water because this will be the bulk of the liquid for your soup. So in total, I think for this, I added at least 6 cups of water. Now, fortunately for today, I am stuck with a tiny little strainer because I could not find my large one. But hey, it did the job. And like I said, you keep straining it back and forth. In total, I think for this, I did it about 5 times. But you want to do at least 4 times. 2 with the bigger strainer and the last 2 with a very fine mesh one. And after I blend the additional pulp, I'll go ahead and strain it again and then set it on the side. At this point, I'm just checking on the base of my soup. If the chicken is too hard, allow it to cook for a little while longer. But if you're not using the very hard chicken, you do not need to cook it for as long as I did. And at this point, I am adding my tomato, pepper, ginger, and garlic mix that I blended earlier. I'm adding that into the soup. Once the pepper mix goes in, I'm just giving it a quick little stir. And then we're going to leave it on the stove for about another 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how hard your chicken is, like I mentioned earlier. And if you want it to cook a lot faster, just cover it up and let it cook for the amount of time that it is needed. Now always remember to check on your soup periodically and give it a stir so that it does not burn. And then now I'm getting my Wrewre mix into my soup. I'm just pouring it all in there. Once the Wrewre goes in, I'm going to give it a stir and allow all the flavor and all the ingredients to mix well together. And at this point, most of our ingredients has gone into our soup. I'm just adding, actually I added 2 onions, not 1. I don't know what happened to that footage, but I'm adding 2 onions that I'm going to be blending later on. Now, I definitely used a very fatty chicken because look at the amount of oil that has gathered on top of my soup. Of course, it makes the soup look a lot better, but if you do not want to be consuming that amount of fat, feel free at the end to take a little spoon and scoop out all the excess oil. Now after the onions go in, I'm going to cover it up and set it on high heat so that it boils a lot faster and reduces to a thicker consistency. After about 10 minutes, I'm going to remove my onions and add a little bit of water, and I'm going to blend it until it is nice and smooth. When I blend onions for soup, I like it to be quite smooth because I do not like straining onions for my soup because I just feel like you're taking away a bulk of the flavor when you strain onions. And once I pour the onions into my soup, I'm going to lower the heat and allow the natural oils of the soup to develop nicely on top of my soup. Right? So I am definitely lowering the heat so that I get that oil and that rich look to the soup. And at this point, you can add more salt if you need to. So after it's simmering on low heat for about 10 minutes, our soup is ready. And look at it. Just take a look at how amazing this looks. It looks so rich, so luscious, and it is delicious. And today our Wrewre Nkwan is going with some proper fufu. Look at it. It looks amazing. And of course, all of you are invited. And before we enjoy our fufu and Wrewre Nkwan, guys, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please be sure to hit that button right away and turn on your notification bell as well so that you do not miss any of my amazing videos. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up and remember to tell a friend about my amazing channel, and I will see y'all again very soon. And thank y'all so much for coming along with me on this absolutely delicious journey. Take care, guys.